Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest and we will be talking all
Okay.
about career productivity,
Okay.
career goals, and how you can be able to achieve that. And help me welcome my guest, Helen. How are you doing? Yes, Helen, you can hear me? You good? Might be some technical issues. I think you're a bit hard. Let me know when you're back and you're good to go. But as I said, we are going to discuss everything about career goals, career productivity, and all that. And as we start, I would also want to say this. Ask yourself, are you where you were thinking you would be at the beginning of the year? And when you're setting your career goals, does it really need to be set always at the beginning of the year, or you can do your goals at the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, irrespective of that time. Yeah. So it's good for you to think about what goals you have and how are you achieving them. We'll get to know clearly why it is important to have the goals from my guest as she comes back. We will also get to understand a bit of productivity. It's good not only to show up at work, it is good for us to also think about how do we become productive in our work so that we are not just showing up to work day in, day out without any reason why we're there. I can see, yes, Helen, you are here. Hey, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I know sometimes technology or the network can try to fail us, but I'm happy to see that you're back.
Yes.
Yes, so I was just did an introduction. I told my viewers who you are and what we are going to discuss. And I know some of the key points we'll be talking about productivity at work, career goals, and also somehow getting clarity at work. But I want us to start off with productivity. Why is it, in general, like what mainly cause people to not be very productive at work? I know they're showing up to work, but they're not giving out their best. What would be the cause of this lack of productivity in somebody when they go to work or in their careers?
All right. Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me. Hello, viewers. And also thank you for taking the time to be here. So, to answer your question, first and foremost, I think it has a lot to do with, poor planning. Yeah. So you decide everything works, so let me do everything, and obviously you can only
Mhm,
do so much. Once a colleague actually said to me, you only have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, so you can only do so much. So if you don't plan properly, then obviously you don't get much done. The other
mhm,
thing is lack of prioritization. There's always a competing priority or task that needs to get done, but if you don't know how to prioritize it, then you actually are not able to get your work done on time.
mhm,
And then we talk about lack of resources. So many times when we talk about resources, people think about resources just in terms of time. But I'm sorry, in terms of money, but resources are very many different things. There's a money, there's a time, there's a skill in itself. There's probably
mhm,
other people that you need to be able to help you get the job done. So you find that
mhm,
at the end of the day, you're not able to do a job well as it's supposed to be, simply because you did not plan for those resources in good time. Then there
mhm,
is also what we call poor energy management. For you to be able to do something, you need to have a certain level of energy. But if you don't know
mhm,
when you have the best energy to get, for example, high focus work done, you will end up probably doing it at the wrong time. And then
mhm,
at the end of the day, you've either not done it well, the quality is compromised, but as well, you probably now have to end up using so much more time. Then multitasking. There's a time that job descriptions used to be written that someone who needs to be able to multitask, but that is a relative statement at the moment, because the thing about multitasking is you end up splitting your mind into very many tasks, and so none of the jobs get done. And that's why sometimes we say you cannot serve two masters at the same time and actually get to be loyal to both of them or get the work well done.
mhm,
Then there's poor diet. Yes, if you're not eating the right food, think about eating over processed foods. For example, if you're eating over processed foods, what basically happens, you have too much sugar in your system. So, generally,
mhm,
what would happen is you find that you become very lethargic. So, when you're supposed to get a job done, you can only do it for a short period of time, and then your body shuts down because it doesn't have the right nutrients to manage to generate the right energy for you to get the work done. Then there's inadequate skills. If you don't have the right skills to get something done, obviously you're not going to be able to do it in good time. And self discipline. Self discipline is when you get to do something even when you don't feel like it. But then when you
Mhm.
say, well, I will wait when I feel like doing it, so a lot of things are not going to get done. So there are quite a number, but I'll just mention maybe two or three more. Then there is, of
Mhm.
course, the fear of decision making and mistakes. Now, this is quite prevalent in our workplaces. What does that mean? You work in an environment where when you make a decision, somebody comes and really, beats you down at it. And so even when you're supposed to do a job and you somewhere behind, I mean, at the back of your mind, you actually know you can get the job done. You keep saying, well, this
Mhm.
is not my job because if I make this decision, this and this is going to happen. So you find that work never actually gets done on time because there is that fear. When I make this decision, I might lose my job. When I make this decision, somebody is going to come and intimidate me. Or when I make this decision, it's going to be a big mistake. And then, of
Mhm.
course, environment. Your environment matters. If you have a conducive environment to do the job, it gets done. If you don't have, and this is sometimes what we talk about, toxicity in the workplace. And toxicity can mean different things. You don't have the right support at work to get your work done.
Mhm.
There's somebody always making sure that your resources are hidden or sabotaged, so you actually never get the work done on time because when you need this, someone has hidden or made it impossible for you or created this whole line of bureaucracy. So
Mhm.
those things sometimes can be very easy to assume, and yet they make such a difference. One last thing I want to mention is the lack of ownership. Think
Yeah.
about where you work in an environment where everyone says that's not my job, it's not in my JD. If you
Mhm.
don't have a sense of ownership of something, you don't actually see the need to get that job done, or you don't actually see the need to get it done well, which means
Mhm.
now a lot of other people have to be involved in order for the job to actually get done. So over to you, Daniel. Those are the points I would point out.
Very, very interesting. And I like, as in, all those points, and they really hit home. Just to highlight some, I like the first thing you said. It's all about planning. There's a very famous quote that says, failing to plan is actually planning to fail. Yeah. So
True.
productivity will suffer big time without planning. The idea of energy levels, yeah, which is very, very important. We need to eat right so that we can get the right energy to be able to be productive. I remember we had a conversation with one of my colleagues at work, whereby on a Monday, the way Monday people come in and they say, I'm Monday blues, I'm bored, I don't feel like doing anything. And he asked me, how comes you're so energetic? You have a lot of energy for the day. It's a Monday. And I was like, yeah, I plan adequately. I know what I need to do. And also has a bit to do with play how you eat and plan your energy. And I just told him, I don't know where you are over the weekend, but I'm sure
Mhm.
probably you engaged a lot of alcohol and or processed food, like this fast food. And it was like, you're right on both accounts. And yeah, that's the reason why again Monday has
Mm,
this slow start. While if you're very intentional in terms of how you eat, what you eat, and plan for your energy, it would work big time. And before I
yes.
even ask the second question, you talked about multitasking. There is a book
Mm,
called The One Thing by somebody
yes.
Keller, who actually one of the things he talks about, six bits that people think they're true. One of them is multitasking, and they say there's nothing like multitasking. As a matter of fact, we just switch from one activity to another, and especially when you're
Mm,
doing two cognitive activities switching, you end up being much worse than someone maybe your IQ or your ability to work really or for productive work really goes down. And so, having mentioned some of these things, what would you advise or some practical steps someone can take in able to be more productive in their work place?
okay. All right. So to be more productive, you need to plan your work. And what does planning your work mean? First, you need to be able to identify what is it that, for example, your job description entails, or what are your duties and responsibilities, and how do they affect the organization as a whole? How do they
Mhm.
affect you? And once I remember a boss said to me, think about your job or your job description or your role in this organization as a chain. So if you don't do your part of the chain breaks, and then now other people have to come to your rescue in order to sort of, put together that chain again so that the work is done. So if you think about it from that point, then now you understand this is my role, this is how my role affects the organization, and this is what I need to do. So planning for that work is very important. Understanding what your role is, understanding what your job is very, very
Mhm.
important. Another
Mhm.
thing again is identify the resources that you need before you start on your task. So I'll give you an example. Say, say for example, you are supposed to be drawing up a certain charts and things like that. One of the things you need to be able to, charts, and then maybe you need to have done some, to be doing some sort of research on the internet. So what are the resources that you need? You obviously need a PC or maybe a laptop.
Mhm.
You need to have maybe you need to have a workable Excel application, and probably even a PowerPoint application. All those are forms of resources. Okay, then you
Mhm.
also need to know what are the ideal sites I should be researching in order to get the right information to end up with the right outcome of this assignment I've been given. All those things are assignments. And then how much time do I require to get that job done? So when you have been able to gather up all your resources, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to have focus. Another thing in terms of resources could be, like you saw, I was drinking a glass of water, because
Mhm.
when you talk over a long period of time, you find that maybe your throat dries up, and so you need to stay hydrated in order for people to hear what you're saying. It's those little
Mhm.
things. Do you need some pens? Do you need some snack? And all those, because what that also does is it helps avoid something called wasted motion. What generally happens sometimes, you're very focused on something, then you remember, oh, I needed a bite, oh, I needed a drink. So you start waking up, and in the process of that waking up, what happens? You start to lose out on your energy and your productivity flow. Before you realize it, you're no longer in the zone to get the job done, simply because you had not planned well for your resources. Now, another thing is, be clear on what brings value in order to prioritize right. So
Mhm.
think about this. When you have assignments to do, many times we work as a team. So your
Mhm.
team members will probably require you to have some, to offer some input in their work and all, and your boss also requires that. Now, whether we want to believe it or not, the work that is assigned to us by our boss is probably of a more priority than what is assigned to you by a colleague. So that's a point where you need to probably negotiate and say, if my boss gives me this job, I need to give it utmost priority, put it at the top of my list of things to do, and then negotiate with my colleague and say, I would also like to help you on this, but I'm only able to do this at a certain time, because at this point, this is competing against the assignment that has been given to you. Now, when you understand that value, it helps you say, I need to do this. And what value is that? The value is, if I get this job done in good time, then I'm not going to have to suffer any consequences or disciplinary measures. This may be a stepping stone for me to, to get the next promotion, or for me to be seconded to the next amazing, what is it called, amazing assignment. So it's important to note that. And then again, also establish how much time each task requires. This is a very, for lack of a better word, this is a very dangerous assumption that we make. We think that we already know how much time we need for each assignment, but you'd be surprised how, when you are trying to do certain assignments, they actually take,
Mhm.
you say, just 15 minutes, and it's not 15 minutes, it probably needs an hour. So what that does is, because you're not planned well, and instead of 15 minutes it ends up being 60 minutes, you end up having to steal time from other tasks, and now that
Mhm.
actually now becomes a disadvantage for you. So in order not to do that, plan well.
Mhm.
Sometimes I advise that you'd rather put more time into a task and then finish early, then figure out where you're going to squeeze the extra time. And for
Mhm.
example, when you do a task, give yourself a 5 to 20 minutes break after you have done the
Mhm.
break, or grace period. Why? Because there'll be things like disruptions and what, so you need to be able to manage that. That's very, very important. Then have a to-do list or a way of tracking progress of your work or your tasks. We have brilliant human minds, but the truth is we cannot remember everything. So it's
Mhm.
important whether yours is your notebook or you have an application that helps you remember everything that you need to do. That's very important, because I want you to imagine a case scenario where your boss has given you a task to do and you keep saying, "Oh, you gave me that job. Oh, you gave me," or you say, "Oh, sorry, I forgot that." Then the following day, the boss asks you about another assignment and then you go at it again. "Oh, sorry, I forgot about that." So what that does is it sort of brings out a person who's not very well organized. So you want to make sure that you have a system that helps you track. Now, please understand, it's not a one size fits all. So I always say try to test and see what works for you. Just because probably Daniel is doing it on the on on his phone or on his machine, maybe for me
Mhm.
how it works is for me to put on a notebook. So it's not a one size fits all. Figure out what works for you and then run with it. And then strengthen your discipline. Discipline is not something anyone can instill in you, it has to be part of you. That's the reality. Discipline
Yes.
is what makes people successful. It's you saying, "I know there's this amazing TV series, or my friends are calling me to go out, but I know that this job needs to get done. So I am going to make the sacrifice and get this done, and I will do the best. After that, I can go. The next time my
Mhm.
friends are not going out just today, maybe the next time there'll be another opportunity. Or I can do a marathon on that series or movie, whatever, on a different day, because most times you can actually be able to come back to that. But at the end of the day, it boils down to, when I don't do this, what do I
Mhm.
stand to lose? And remember, some opportunities only come once. So once it's gone, and there's not much you can do. And then be ruthless with your time. That's just the reality. One of the
Uh-huh.
things that has made us, that has universalized all of us, is time. Nobody gets more time than the other. Each day we all have 24 hours. So how do you want to use your time? Do you want other people to misuse your time, and then you're left whining or complaining and saying, "I didn't have enough time," and yet you had enough time? And that
Mhm.
goes hand in hand with setting boundaries. What are boundaries? Boundaries are invisible fences that we put around ourselves to make sure certain things get done, or also just protecting ourselves. So at this point, you put a boundary and say, maybe between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. is my time. It's my high focus time. This is the time I get to do all those high focus jobs. And for that reason, yeah, all those high focus jobs. And for that reason, I'm not going to entertain any small talk at the tea urn or at the water urn when we're going for tea breaks and things. I'm just going to
Mhm.
get my work done. And at the end of the day, you will realize that you actually have enough time to get your work done, because you're squeezing or allocating the right things into your time. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. I really like that breakdown. Quite a lot packed in there, and just again to retake on it, I think it will take forever. But I like the way you talk about planning, allocating time. I like the to-do list, and what you also mentioned about wasted motions. I know sometimes we want to do something. We have our to-do list, and then before we do, then we start saying, "Oh, I need to arrange my table." Then, "Oh, I need to go get some the maybe I think, oh, I need water, I need to go to the washroom." And I usually encourage my audience and my clients, have a not to do list. There are those small things that we
Yes.
do that end up
Mm,
eating up onto our real to do list. And I like that. Now I want us to switch gears a little bit to talk now about goals, because I know you also talk about you help people strategize and put clear career goals. Um, let's just say, what is the importance of having these career goals, and what would be the best time to set them? Is it at the beginning of the year? Can someone set now if they have never set? And yeah, what would be the best time?
all right. So career goals are very, very important. The best time
Mhm.
to set career goals, I would say, is now or at the earliest opportune time. For
Mhm.
example, towards the end of the year, most people will be reminiscing on how did my year go and what do I want to see differently. So you find that people are thinking about resolutions. In fact, most people think about resolutions rather than goals. So resolutions I would say goals are stronger than resolutions. Why? Resolutions sometimes are just thought out in your mind, but then in your mind, and sometimes you can write them down. But the thing about writing down goals is you're breaking it down into the smallest of pieces. And what that means is, this is the goal. What do I want to do? I want to get a promotion this year. How am I going to get this promotion? What are the ways? One, I build my skill. One, I find sponsors. In this case, a sponsor in the professional world is somebody who has a seat at the decision table and can put in a good word for you. Now, the beauty of having a sponsor is that they are going to reduce your learning curve. If, for example, you are looking at that promotion in 5 years and you're speaking to the right people, the promotion might come down in 2 or 3 years to come. Then of course you're looking and saying, who are the other people who can help me, get these goals working? What resources do I have? This is the amount of money I have, or these are the people I can engage as mentors to help me because they're ahead of me. So it's different things, but setting your career goals should ideally be at the earliest. And it's also important to understand that goals do not need to be set at the beginning of the year. They can be set at any time of the year, because what happens sometimes, things change. I think perfect example is Corona. We didn't expect
Mhm.
COVID to happen 2 years ago. And then one
Mhm.
March afternoon, we get a notice and we are told, sorry, this is what's happening. Everybody needs to stay home. So if you had set
Yeah.
these amazing goals you wanted to set for, to run through the year, they probably became almost impossible and you had to re-strategize. And I always say that goals are not linear. Because of different factors, you probably find you have to change. Now,
Mm.
the next question I think I remember asking is, why is it important to set career goals? Now, I want you to
Mm.
think about career goals as, think about a ship. A ship can cruise throughout the sea, but the sea just looks the same across. But what gets that ship from point A to B? A compass. Okay, so they use a compass to help them know we are going this nautical miles or this other side. So think about your goals being setting career goals being your compass, because it gives you
Mm.
focus and direction, so you actually know where you're going. That's one.
Yeah.
Second thing, it gives you clarity of what you want to do. The moment you said you want that promotion, the moment you said, I no longer want to be an assistant, I want to be an officer, I want to be a manager, what is it that you need to do? So you're able to list those things down. The other thing is, it helps you to align the actions. The specific actions you're going to do need to be able to arrive at the result or expected outcome. Okay. Then the
Yeah.
other thing is, for employers, there's a general assumption that we make and think that your manager is responsible for your career growth and career advancement. That is very untrue. What generally happens when a manager sees you have a vision in terms of what you want to do, you are ambitious. Often you'll find the manager is attracted to your way of doing things to say, how can I help you grow, or how
Mhm.
can I help you move to the next step? It could be your manager is able to add you to a list of certain trainings that have been planned for the year for you to go. Some of them are very specific, others are like certifications, which could be super pricey in terms of expensive. But because the manager has seen the effort you're putting in, they say, you know what, the company is actually willing to make this payment for you to go and learn, grow, and then probably even secure your next promotion. Then think about the fact that we spend 35 to 45 years of our life in your chosen profession. That's a long time to be doing the same thing or to be running a certain profession. So if you
Yeah.
don't have a plan,
Mm.
what's going to happen is you're going to feel very, very miserable. So you need to have career goals to say, the next 30, 45 years, even when I'm retiring, I need to be able to be saying I really enjoyed. There was a time when people focused so much on their jobs that the moment the job ended, they had no sense of identity. So don't lose, I mean, this is important for me to say, don't lose your identity in the process. But I can tell you that if you have your goals in the right place, you'll be perfectly fine. So you need to set your goals, not to spend 40 years trying to figure out what profession or what did I want to achieve in my career. Daniel?
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that brings a lot into context. and actually leading almost to my next question about career clarity. But just let me just say, I can see several people following us and joining us. Thank you very much. There's Unsur, there's Mike saying hi. By the way, guys, if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'll be able to pull it up and we can be able to answer that together with Helen. Okay, someone saying well done, or all good sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Someone says, yeah, has it done well? Okay, good. So let's discuss now about, you mentioned about goals. Yes, they help you to get clarity. And the question would be, and it surprises me, is it that we have several people who don't have clarity in their career? They are working and they wake up, they look very focused, but they don't have clarity. What really causes this lack of clarity in one's career?
Okay. So think about the fact that when most of us started our jobs, we started working. What happened is, so we went on, we studied, but
Mhm,
there's a whole big group of people who are doing exactly opposite of what they studied. Why? That's the job
mhm,
that was available at the time. And what
mhm,
generally happens is someone says, "Well, you know what? Just get in, just get in, go figure it out as you go." And now the problem with that is we end up doing jobs out of obligation and not out of obligation and monotony. So when you get to do a job over a long period of time, it becomes a part of you. You can do it with your eyes closed. But now the
mhm,
problem with that is you say, well, I don't see anything wrong with this job because hey, it's paying my bills. I can tell my parents, my family, my loved ones, my friends that I have a job to wake up to and go to because that's possibly where people are finding relevance in it. But the problem is you lack clarity because you are doing the job out of a sense of obligation and
mhm.
monotony, not because it's really what you like. If you ask many people, do you like what you do? They're like, well, the moment someone starts to say well or they hesitate, that already tells you a lot. But they'll probably say that because, hey, it's paying bills and. But I'd like to also emphasize that I'm not saying you quit the job that you're doing right now. If you have to quit, please quit with a plan. We have been talking about planning, planning, planning. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
Don't just quit because the truth be told, no one may actually come to your rescue to pay your bills and get other things done for you, but having a plan makes the difference. Now, the
Mhm,
other thing is lack of know how. If you don't know how to do something, you probably remain doing what you're used to. And that's why sometimes you're told if you're looking for different results, then you need to start doing things differently or doing something different altogether. The
mhm,
other thing is poor goals or lack therein. For example, if you don't know how to set your goals right, or you don't
mhm.
have any goals, well, you will just cruise through. And then these are some of the people you find at the end of the year saying, well, how did that year just end? I didn't seem to achieve anything simply because you didn't have the knowledge on how to do it. And then there's of
Mm.
course uncertainty and fear. We have a big fear of moving out of our comfort zone, and then we have
All right.
this voice that keeps saying, what if this, what if that? But you see, the thing is, I'm sure you've talked to people who tell you, do this, it is tried and tested. So if you don't try, if you don't take the risk, then you never quite get to know, be clear on something. One of the things that happens to a lot of us is we forget to embrace something called process when we are doing things. No matter how small a thing is, we tend to be very much on what is called autopilot. So you just do something very fast and you're like, okay, fine. But you don't take time to understand, okay, so this is how I started this process. Think about somebody who's been driving over a long period of time. They just get into the car and they cruise through the road and all. But there's a process to it. I was speaking to someone this morning and I was saying, whenever I'm going down for a drive, one of the things I do is I think of the shortest, fastest, safest route to get there. So by the time I'm getting into the car, my mind is very focused on where I am going, and I'm therefore not going to be wasting so much time on the road. I'm not going to be wasting fuel, since that it has also become very expensive and things like that. So I
Mhm.
hope you understand the connection of that. And then
Yeah.
there's tolerance. Now, tolerance sometimes comes from an unconscious influence from society and people who we value so much. Unfortunately, our family, friends, and loved ones tend to be the people who do this a lot. So
Hmm.
we often find that you've gotten to a point and you're complaining about, I don't like what's going on in my job. But now, because maybe someone else doesn't want to really take, what do I call it, doesn't want to take responsibility of what you're going and what you're going through, they quickly
Hmm.
tell you, just hold on one more time, one more year, it's going to be okay. So it no longer becomes an issue of patience and resilience. It's tolerance for things that you don't actually value. It is because somewhere at the back of your mind, you can see there's something wrong, but because
Hmm.
you have listened to people whose opinion matters, you end up becoming tolerant instead of addressing the issue hands on, or rather face on. And then
Hmm.
there's poor personal branding. If you ask a lot of people who are you, they'll probably give you a very interesting definition. But what do you want people to identify you with, or identify you as such when it comes to your career? I am Helen. I am a career goals and productivity coach. My focus is on empowering people on how to set the right goals, then helping people manage their time, becoming more organized, but as well also helping people enrich their careers, and also being able to to get into careers that they actually love. But often when you ask a lot of people, they don't understand that. And so, last but not least, is the idea of comfort. If you
Hmm.
have, I mean, you're very comfortable. There's nothing that is broken. We don't need to be fixing anything. Those are some of
Hmm.
the reasons why people don't actually have a sense of career clarity, and sometimes they don't even know that actually there is something like that. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. I think a lot of value right there. And as we wrap it up, two more questions. The first one I want you to tell, like, I know you have identified areas that someone, the reason why people don't have clarity, maybe two or three actionable steps that someone can take if they fall in any of the categories that you have said. They actually realize they don't have much of clarity of their career and where they're heading to, or they don't like what they're doing. It was maybe the first job that they got, and that is what they have been doing. What would be
Mhm.
the two, three practical steps that someone can take to actually start getting things in the right path?
Okay, one of the things I would say is do an audit. We all know what an audit is. Many times when we hear auditors are coming to the organization, people get very jittery because they are scared that you will, I mean, the auditor will catch up with a process that you didn't follow the right way and all. But don't
Yeah.
always look at it that way. What I would say is do what I call an audit or a health check. There are people who are in the habit of going to the hospital every year, and they do what is called an annual checkup. So do an annual
Hmm.
checkup on your career. Look at what is working and what is not working. Now you need to do that. You need to do that very courageously and confidently, because what tends to happen is we always look at what is the worst that can happen. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. What I want you to do is to put all those thoughts aside and just say, I'm doing this because I want to get better. I want this year to be better. I want the next 3, 4 months to be better for me. So what am I looking at? Okay, what do I like about my job? One, two, three. What do I like about the boss I am working with? What do I not like? What do I not like about the work that I'm doing? Is this work fulfilling? Is there any more I can do? Do I feel like my potential has been fulfilled, or I'm only pursuing half my potential? Now, when you do that, one of the things that's going to happen, you will start to see gaps in between, and then you start to say, okay, I think I need to improve. Now, understand that there are things that you can solve on your own, and then there are others that you need help. Now,
Hmm.
also be willing to ask for help. There are very many people out there, professionals, mentors, peers alike, who definitely want to help you. But it's always easier to get help when you ask for the help and the specific area of help that you want to ask. So please understand that help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. That's one. The other thing is you need to have a value system. Many times over, we get into an organization and we are busy fulfilling the goals of the organization, but we don't even have our own value system. A value system is what are the things that you stand for. For example, integrity and honesty for me are very, very clear, are very clear values for me. I will not work with a client whose integrity is compromised. that is something I made a decision on. For you, it could be something totally different. Why? Because it takes so much time to build your trust and credibility. So, do you want this one person to come and damage that for you? So, what is your value in the workplace? My value is getting the right job done. My value is being able to give back to the community. The other thing also is in connection to that is you need to be able to know why you're doing that job or why you want that job. People get into work for different reasons. There are people who
Mhm.
value titles and titles and the fact that they are quote unquote commandeering or having a whole group of people to report to. I mean, sorry, people to report to them. That makes them feel like they have a sense of purpose. There is somebody else who takes on the job because they want to make a difference in society. They want to serve the community. It's more like what we call the helping profession. They want to make a difference. You need to understand why you're doing that job. Did you get into that job for the money? Did you get into that job to be an influence into the society or to help and make a difference? When you understand those things, they actually give you some form of career clarity. And you will find that after doing that audit, at some point, you will probably be saying, well, I think now it's time to go. One last thing that's very important to mention is we sometimes get into jobs and professions because our parents and our loved ones said, you look like you can do very well in this job. We need to be very careful that we are not in the business of pursuing other people's goals and leaving our goals unattended or our ambitions unattended. So,
Yeah.
even as you do the audit, be very, very careful because I have seen that it is, and this is, please understand that this is not just either a Kenyan or an African thing. It's something that actually cuts across the globe. Okay. It's just that it
Mhm.
varies, the degree probably varies from one place to the other. So ask yourself also, am I pursuing my purpose? Am I pursuing what I love to do? Or am I busy trying to achieve somebody else's goal to make them happy? Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very, very insightful conversation, and anyone who would want to get their career on track, they can get a lot of value from this session. And if they want to get even deeper with you, maybe you can share with us how can someone get in touch with you. They see
Oh,
like, yeah, Helen seem to be, I seem to be aligning with Helen. I want her to help me. How would they get in touch with you?
okay. Thanks, Daniel. So, Uh, I have an Instagram. My Instagram page is Mawaida
Hmm.
Hub. Mawaida being Mawaidha, and then the word hub. And then on Facebook, we have a Facebook group called Mawaida Career Goals and Productivity Coaching. But as well,
Hmm.
also, if you'd like to reach me via email, it's Helen at mawaidahub.com. And
Hmm.
of course, lastly is my work phone. If you'd also like to get through to me, my work phone via call, WhatsApp, or message, you can also reach me on +254 254 701 384 540. So I'll be looking forward, happy to work with you, happy to guide you and help you succeed at your career.
Okay, good. I had already put the one for my the hub.
Yes.
Just go again with the number. I can pull it up here.
Oh,
It's
so for the
two
number
five
is
four
plus 254 701
zero
384
four
540. Mm-hmm.
540. I
701
think, yeah,
384 540. Yes, that's the correct
yeah. So
540.
you can,
Daniel,
yeah,
the last digit is wrong. So
or,
540. Yes,
or
540. 40.
540
Yes,
540.
correct.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So let me
Okay.
save it. Let me pull it up here. So you can
Mm-hmm.
search Mawaida Hub on Instagram. I think on Facebook you said Mawaida Hub, and
Then yeah, Mawaida Hub, career goals and productivity coaching.
good. Or they can get you
Yes.
through a call or WhatsApp. That would be
Yes.
+254 701 384 540. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate you coming in, sharing with us. It has been a great session. Of course, I'll make sure if you watch it, it makes sense to you. Share it with your friends, share it all around. And of course, we are here to keep on helping you succeed in your career. And until our next session, we are out.
All right. Thank you.